This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How you doing, host Jason Glick?
I'm doing good, John. Yourself?
Oh, just enjoying the top-down view of 2015 and seeing what else the year has in store for me, Work, whatever, But then we have this little podcast here and that a lot of people enjoy. So...
Indeed. So, it's like, but, as far as starting at the top of the year, it's like, I'm actually going back a couple of years in order for this podcast.
And what do you have on tap for us tonight, sir?
Okay, I have a series that came out several years back through Vertigo. Now, long-time readers know it's like, I like Vertigo. They've been releasing some of my absolute favorite series of all time with Preacher, Sandman, Transmetropolitan. And even though it's like, it's gone through a lot of changes in terms of the creators who inhabit it, as well as some behind the scenes stuff as far as how the contracts are managed in terms to actual creator ownership for these titles. But the series, the imprint still manages to crank out a number of titles that get my attention. It's like cause me to follow them. It's like over a period of time. That's really an awkward way of saying things. But anyway, there's some titles I'll buy as soon as the trade paperback comes out. Other times they'll just wait until I see them in the half off ends at Comic-Con. One of these titles that basically started that way is a series called Sweet Tooth from Jeff Lemire. Now Lemire has it's gone on over the last couple of years at DC to become one of its go-to writers for certain titles. When the New 52 started, Lemire wound up kicking things off with his run on Animal Man, which at first I thought it was really entertaining, but at the same time, as it went on, it became really uneven, and it was I don't regret the time spent with it, but at the same time, if I had never gotten around to reading it, I'm not sure if I would have missed anything. But even then, he's also gone on to fill-in jobs, or at least notable runs with Justice League Dark and Green Arrow. And he's basically kind of become DC's go-to writer for we need a writer of quality in order to get this series going. And he's currently writing the Distaff Justice League title out of Canada right now. So, but at the same time, he's also put out a number of he's also been balancing his superhero stuff with creator-owned stuff through DC's Vertigo imprint, and also he's doing he's going to be doing some stuff through Image as well with his forthcoming series with Dustin Nguyen and the graphic novel After Death with Scott Snyder due out later this year. Sweet Tooth, however, is his apparently his longest creator-owned series. And the one that seems to be his defining work right now. It's a story of a kid named Gus who is a human hybrid. He is basically part human, part deer, and he's living in a world that was decimated by a plague several years back. In fact, after this plague happened, no regular human children were born after that time. The only children that were born after that time were human hybrids like Gus. Now, up until now, Gus has been living with his dad on this Nebraska preserve. It's just a place that they live out their days, and his dad, who's a very very devoutly religious type, has basically told his son, don't ever leave these woods because the world outside is filled with sinners and men who do evil and such. And and Gus hears this until and even after his dad dies, Gus keeps adhering to this this rule that his dad laid down for him, until one day when some scavengers show up and they're trying to figure out what do we do with this weird deer antlered kid, and before they can try anything, they're both shot dead by an even meaner man, old guy, gray hair, built like a truck, named Jeopard. Jeopard decides to it's like winds up befriending the kid because turns out that he's got that Gus, like the title says, has a real sweet tooth, and Jeopard is able to win him over with some candy. It's like, and also just the fact that he's another person who out there. I mean, someone who also saved his life. So rather than just be alone, Gus decides to go and follow Jeopard down the road. Unfortunately, it's like Jeopard's intentions in luring out Gus aren't on the up and up, as there's also a group known as the Militia, run by a man named Abbott, who are also looking for these hybrids and still trying to find ways to to solve the mystery of this plague. Now, at its core, Sweet Tooth is a takes a lot of very familiar elements. We've got the whole post-apocalyptic setting. Mankind is run down. You've just given over its baser instincts, and it's like the few pockets of civilization that are left. See, and you also got the whole older, wiser, more grizzled person who's learned not to care about anyone, whose heart is slowly melted again by the entrance of this new character. So it's a very familiar story. I mean, the relationship between Jeopard and Gus, but to Lemire's credit, he makes it work. He gives us enough backstory regarding Jeopard's history and that of his wife and how their relationship together, as well as his hockey career, believe it or not, and shows you just how Jeopard became the man. It's like the man he was, and that even though his basic character description is a cliche, Jeopard has given enough depth over the course of the series to evolve beyond that. It's like that simple description. Gus also also similarly evolved as well. I mean, he's shown to be like a true innocent, someone who is just not right at first not capable of protecting himself or even harming a fly. But that changes as he learns about the world and what it takes in order to protect people that he cares about. So I mean, you've got this relationship at Sweet Tooth's core, and it's a very successful one. And you also got several interesting sub characters, such as Sign, the chief scientist of the Militia, who starts out as someone who's truly rational in his beliefs, but then slowly starts to accept more starts to believe that maybe his role in this is more religious than anything else after he finds the writings that Gus's father left behind, and and he leaves them to be some sort of weird weird prophetic writings. It's like Abbott is a brutal, mean man, and he remains that way through a lot of the run until we get an issue later on that late in the series run comes halfway through the final volume 6, that shows you just hey, it's like for him all this stuff was done out of necessity more than anything else, and that just and his brutality just basically just kept driving him more than anything else. So I mean, the character Lemire does a good job with the characters, and the setting, developing it, and also throwing in fun little twists along the way. I mean, some of them are more successful than others. Like when they encounter the the guy who was running the dam, and Jeopard is just kind of so goddamn sure that this guy is just not on the up and up, and at the same time though, it's he's kind of also acting as kind of like a reader surrogate for these concerns, but at the same time though, the rest of the supporting cast goes, hey, we're tired, we want to rest, and this is where we're going to stop. But these things kind of happen, and things play out to reader expectations as far as who the bad guy is in this scenario. But as far as who actually winds up saving the day, that's a little more unexpected. Also fun is just one little bit where Jeopardy is at one point Jeopardy is gets captured by a guy named who's nicknamed the Fat Man, and and the guy is just so sure that he knows Jeopardy from somewhere, and he's just convinced that Jeopardy's a bad guy until he finds out just why he knows Jeopardy from somewhere, and it's like fun. It's actually a great goofy twist right there. Also worth noting is the fact that this is a story about. I mean, there's the whole mystery of just why the plague started, and it's like, and probably I'm sure the overall story benefits from the fact that it was just the work of one guy, and all the story, like the reasons behind, and mysteries behind the plague are actually pretty well explained and handled by Lemire, and it's like over the course of the series. I mean, rereading it actually holds up incredibly well, and he managed to do a decent amount of foreshadowing for certain events as the series goes on. So by the time you get to the end, it's actually you'll probably be impressed by just how well he manages to tie everything together. I enjoy it. I mean, yeah, it does kind of. Lemire's worldview in the end kind of tends towards more the humans. It's like human. He mentions to avoid the whole humans are bad. It's like they brought this upon themselves with the final issue, which is a great final issue in the sense that it managed to wrap up a whole lot of threads in a very very efficient manner. But it does trade in a lot of the whole we need to come back to nature in some sort of balance with the land instead of exploiting it. So if any kind of hippie tree hugger feelings, if you abhor hippie tree hugger sentiments, then yeah, you're going to have an issue with how the series wraps up. It's I'm not entirely opposed to them, so I was just kind of able to accept it as Lemire's particular worldview more than anything else. What I can see people having more of an issue with is Lemire's style as an artist. He's got a very distinct style. It is also kind of ugly, really. I mean, his characters do kind of seem as weird, misshapen forms. It's as a start, and it's kind of it's if you could accept the way they look. I mean, you can look at the covers. It's I just flip through the volume to see what you like. But yeah, it's his style is just really isn't really appealing. I mean, it's expressive, but it's not something that that basically goes, hey, this is something that you're really going to want to read. Just looking at his style from beginning. Thing is though, Lemire does. It does have a very experimental style, and he's willing to play around with how a narrative should play out in comics form. Just from his panel arrangements to the to certain double page spreads to setting up two different narrative tracks. One in certain parts where the scientist Sign is narrating his findings, while in a thread going below the narrative, while another another sequence plays out wordlessly above it. I mean, stuff like that's really cool to see. I mean, as are things Jeopardy driving a car and just his figure being blurred as he pours all of his feeling into getting to where he's going to save Gus, or just even more simple things like seeing the characters light a match to set a fuse that burns all around the page and then blows up on the second. I mean, it's the experimentation that he does that Lemire pulls off with the course of his run. That keeps things visually interesting, even if you don't like his style. I will say that Lemire does do the majority of the art in this series, with one issue featuring contributions from a couple different artists as some characters' pasts are fleshed out, and also there's an extended 3-issue story by that features art from Mind Management's Matt Kint. That's actually kind of interesting in the sense that it's one of those stories that turns out to be that seems to be completely divorced from the main story at first, until it's revealed that this little digression basically explains everything at the end. It's also worth noting that while I talked about like Lemire's experimental style, and also like for someone like Kint, who also does a lot of experimenting in his own series, these 3 issues are actually just really conventional in terms of how they play out. Just standard, panel. It's like over the course of the 3 issue run. It's kind of like they're like the whole like thirst for experimenting. They decided to like put it on the back burner to just simply tell the story without just. Yeah, I guess just stepping on each other's toes in terms of like, hey, how are we gonna arrange these panels to make them like as crazy and as visually inventive as possible? So it's funny to see how that turns out. I mean, ultimately, Sweet Tooth is made up of a lot of familiar elements, but in the end, it's like there's enough depth. It's like depth to their execution. It's like and inventiveness in the visuals to make it worthwhile. I thought I enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, I admit it's kind of familiar, but for what it is, it's pretty well done. I recommend it. I recommend if you're looking for it's the good kind of different. That's what I can say about it in the end. Okay, John, any thoughts on your end from this?
I haven't actually had a chance to look while you were talking, but it is intriguing sounding, and that's one of those genres that I kind of like is the whole post-apocalyptic thing. But did you say he was part deer?
Yeah, part deer. I mean, like there's several different hybrids in human animal hybrids in the series. I mean, there's a kid. There's a girl pig. There's a boy woodchuck, like a boy dog as well. Several human dog hybrids as well. I mean, the explanation isn't really scientific, but the whole transition from science to religion, to I guess you'd say fantasy, is actually kind of interesting to observe, especially through the character of Sign, since he basically kind of. So if you're expecting this to be like straight up science fiction, following his character growth is actually kind of interesting to observe. It's like in terms of like how the story genre goes.
Interesting. So and I find that to be interesting because usually in stories like this, it's the fascists that wind up coming against the mutants, if it were.
That does happen with the most. But the thing is, it's just these kids who are being protected by those more capable of protecting them. But then I guess you'd say the fascist element, the militia led by Abbott. I mean, yeah, they're unambiguously the bad guys, even though Abbott at least gets a decent amount of development towards the end.
Interesting, but that sounds very interesting and worth checking out.
Yeah, indeed. It's it's in 6 volumes so far, and DC, even though as I've said, they love working with Kint over the years. They have yet to reprint this in any kind of omnibus style format. It is worth noting though that even though it's it took me years to read this, but it wasn't until say volume 3, Animal Armies, that when Jeopard manages to get some people get a group to help storm the militia stronghold, that I finally thought, hey, I actually need to start actively collecting this. So I had volume 1 a couple years back, got volume 2 sometime later. I got volume 3 last year at WonderCon. I found volumes 4 and 5 at this year's Comic-Con, and then volume 6 I ordered from Amazon when they had their a Black Friday coupon for get 30% off a book.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's how my collection of this series turned out over like the last couple of years.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, so do you know what you're going to be talking about next show?
Another series that actually spent a little while collecting, X-Men Legacy by Simon Spurrier.
Oh, well, it sounds interesting. Yet another. Is this an older series or a newer series?
It's a newer series that I was honestly surprised it lasted as long and was good as it was.
All right. Well, we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.
All right, bye.